When I started in real estate, I did not realize how many learning lessons there would be. I started in real estate at the age of 20 back in 2016. I actually was a real estate assistant before I became a real estate agent, but the thing that really prompted me to be a real estate agent is because I saw all of these people come into the office, do a little bit of work, make some phone calls, sometimes just be playing Netflix in the background, not really doing what they needed to do, which I did not know that at the time. I thought that was pretty normal for most real estate agents, but that's what I was seeing. And I saw them go show a few houses, collect a big commission check. Meanwhile, I was a college student and I was like, I need to figure out a way to pay for college. So I decided to jump in, become a real estate agent, and the rest is history. I have been a real estate agent for 8 years now, coming up on 9 in May, which is absolutely crazy. Who would have thought that I would have been in this industry? Because I sure did not think I was going to be in the industry for this long, but somehow I survived. And I figured this is a good video for me to tell you a little bit of the things that I have learned and how to actually make it past your first, second, third year, even your fifth year, because I know the statistics for real estate agents are crazy. And I'm not sure if many people actually know the statistics behind real estate agents, how many of them actually will stay in the business, because I know that 70% of people that joined real estate will drop off after a year because the business is just that intense. There is such a huge learning curve that first year. And if you make it to year 5, like people have said, I've heard in podcasts that you've pretty much made this a career. But before we get into it, hi, I am Tanya, and I have a huge goal of closing 30 transactions this year, and I decided to, why not, post it on the internet, show you what I am doing and how I've overcome a few things, because I just think that the time that we are in is just so freaking exciting with social media, AI coming on the market, seeing what changes are happening, and I figured I'd share you my journey of what I'm doing this year to actually make that goal come true. So let's get into the first pretty big learning lesson that I feel like most agents have to overcome, and that's going to be boundaries. Because we are in a business that doesn't really have any set hours, we can easily fall into the trap of always working. I put it in quotations because I used to say that I was always working, which is true to some extent, because as real estate agents, if we have a phone, we are working. We are answering calls, we're answering text messages, doing all of the things we need to do. But one of the big things that I struggled with as an agent, especially wanting to be a people pleaser, I am a people pleaser at heart, was always trying to make sure that every client was happy, even if it got in the way of family events, important events in my life. And it just was one of those things that I had zero boundaries in place of when I could help people, what I needed to do. And to go even deeper with that, I also did not really realize how to pre-qualify clients. Honestly, I was just so freaking excited that you wanted to work with me. And if you texted me that I want to go see a specific house, I would be there at that time and date that you wanted. Now, my business works a little bit different. I do have more so of a schedule. I make sure to have boundaries within even the hours that I respond, because I know of so many agents that are working up until midnight. I am not that type of person. My brain barely functions at that time. And it's also kind of one of those things that there is literally nothing I can do for you until the morning. So that is one of the things that I have struggled with a lot. And it took me years to really build up that muscle of being like, these are the times I have appointments, what works for you. Now, you could be overly strict with this, and that's also another trap we could fall into. We still want to stay flexible enough for our clients, but also make sure that we aren't skipping out on important events. Go help those clients. There are so many nuances to this, because I could not have said that back in 2021 when the houses were just flying off the market. I had to just go show up. First, I would always pre-qualified client, and so that part of my business did get much better. It was a market in the fact that you had to show up. Now the market is very nice in the sense of there are more options. We can take our time to go look at houses. Of course, there are always nuances to this. If the house is a great price, great location, we got to go see it right away. But if a house has been sitting on the market, I will make sure to book it in a way that works best for both me and my client. Boundaries have been a crucial learning lesson, and I hope that that is something that you can learn to implement early on, because yes, I know it's so freaking exciting to get that client, but also at the same time, we have to maintain our own peace. We have to make sure that we're not missing out on events that are important to us, because you just never know when it's going to be the last time you see someone. So you want to make sure you're prioritizing those family events, those little dates with your friends, with your husband, different things like that. The second thing that I really struggled with, and I will say this is more of a mental struggle, is dealing with rejection. In real estate, you are dealing with so much rejection, but I will say at the beginning, that rejection would knock me out. It would really take over me, and it would really be all consuming. So I really had to work around rejection. I really had to make sure that when rejection did happen, I was ready and I could just say thank you next. Cool, this didn't work out. We'll move on to the next house. You don't want to work with me? That is fine. Moving on to the next client. They didn't get qualified. What can we do to get them qualified? Questions like that. Because at the beginning, it was really like an all or nothing. It either worked or it didn't work. And for me, there was really no balance, because I wanted to be the perfect agent that always had the right answer, that always did exactly what needed to be done, and that the process would work smoothly. And when one thing did not work out that way, I just got paralyzed. I would just get very like, I don't know what to do. I couldn't even think straight. So a lot of this goes into nervous regulation, goes into really creating those hacks for yourself to be able to calm your mind down to where that doesn't happen, where those moments of you feeling paralyzed don't happen as much. And I will say, for me, walking, being active really helps me think out scenarios. I don't listen to music very often when I do run, so it's a way for my mind to think of scenarios of how to improve things, how to make sure that I am being the best that I can be for this situation. And a lot of the times I have to physically go remove myself from a situation, think about it, and then come back with solutions. It's not going to be something that I'm going to just fix it right away, because that is not, how do I say this? That is not the personality type that I am. I am an Enneagram 5, and if you know, you know, they're like analytical, very much live in their head. And so I create scenarios in my head. I have created worst case scenarios. I have created the best case scenarios. So that way my mind, when it's confronted with whichever scenario, I already know what to do. And I really like this. I was listening to a podcast the other day that said Michael Phelps does this. And in the sense he does it, he role plays every single scenario that could happen. So that way, if something does happen, like it did in one of the Olympic swims where his goggles filled up with water so he couldn't see, he had already visualized that scenario, had already told himself what he was going to do, and that didn't deter him from taking home the gold. So that is one of the things that I like to do to help me better prepare for these types of scenarios. Because as real estate agents, I feel like there's always something new on the job. There is always going to be a situation you haven't gone through. And that's why it's so important for you to have that mental calmness. So that way you can regulate your nervous system when something does happen. And of course, you always need good friends that have gone through situations like that. So always have a good community on your back to be able to help you really get through those scenarios. The third thing that I'm going to tell you, and it sounds kind of intuitive, you think that most people would do this, but I didn't do it for a very long time. It is actually commit to being a real estate agent. Y'all, because we are in a business that, again, it doesn't have any set hours, there's no cap on income. People kind of feel like that when you enter real estate, you're going to have more freedom to be able to go out and do the things that you want to actually do. But the weird thing is that when you don't treat a business like a business, it won't be a business. But when you treat a business like the business it is, it will actually be something that earns money for you. It will actually bring more into your life. And for a long time, I thought like I could get up, I could go do whatever I needed to do, and my business would be running in the background. Yes, that's true to a certain extent, but also I wasn't having consistent months. My business was just great. When it happened, it happens. When it doesn't, okay. It was just an okay business. I will say I have always been very consistent in the amount of transactions I have closed per year. But this last year and a half, I came to the realization that if I wanted more, I'm going to have to start treating this like a business. I'm going to have to do the phone calls every single day. I'm going to have to post on social media at least once a day, even if it's just to my stories. I'm going to have to really create a plan to be able to close 30 transactions in the time span that I want, which is a year. And now that I'm doing this, I am sort of realizing how much opportunity I missed out on, because there is no one in this world that can possibly keep up with that many people, can possibly remember everything that they plan to do. So y'all will see me. I've got my CRM. I am inputting names in it. I am taking notes and making sure that I'm looking at the notes to know what I'm going to do next, what I'm going to do here, different things like that. And I know that's been a huge contributor of why I've been more consistent on YouTube lately. And the last tip I have for you, I wasn't sure if I was going to include it, but it feels right, is that you actually have to start believing yourself, believing that you can run this business, that the clients will come to you, that your business will be successful. Like, I'm a huge believer in manifestation. I completely agree with that. Your inner mind creates your outer reality. And you know, the other day I was on TikTok scrolling through as one does, and I came across a video that it really summed it up nicely, that if you have an idea to start a business, to become a real estate agent, to take on a new project, you have to believe that God has set that intention within you, because the clients, the people, the things that you need are already waiting for you, are already waiting to help you succeed. And I just know that by you starting the business, by you taking on the challenge, the impact that you're going to have is greater. And the universe will just want to get behind what you're doing and help you prosper in that. And I know I got a bit spiritual with it, but I just believe it so much that by you just believing you can do it, that you will do it. Okay, well, that was it for this video. If this helped you in any way, please make sure to subscribe, like the channel, comment any questions. It really helps other people find the channel, and I am just so freaking excited for you to be here, and we will talk soon. Bye.